Well, hey everyone, and welcome back to the next part of the Scriptable Object Skills tutorial. So in the last episode, we got it set up to where we can instantiate fireballs, shooting them from the player in the direction of the mouse, like so. Just by pressing the E key, it just instantiates a bunch of clones of fireballs. Pretty cool. And what we're going to do in this one is we're going to do some collision detection. So currently the fireballs shoot out, but we want it to be able to actually destroy themselves on hit and actually be able to do some sort of damage. So what we're going to do is, let's go ahead in here and we'll create a 3D cube. Okay, no big deal. We'll go ahead and move it over a little bit to the right. Move it over this way. And then move it up a little bit. Okay. Move it over a little more than that. That's one way of doing it. Let's do it the other way. Zoom it out. Move it over here. Bang. We got a little 3D. Yeah, got some cube going. Alright, well that's cool. Put it in 2D right here so I can actually see what's going on. Yeah, now we can do it. Okay. So here we go. We got everything locked. It's not moving in the Z. So we're just going to want to shoot this. Well, this cube, player, cube, this. Oh, that's what I was doing. Okay, yeah, this is 0 and this is 0. We don't want that. We didn't want to move that. That's madness. Now the cube, that's what we wanted to move, was the cube. So we'll come into here again. And we'll go ahead and move its position like something like right here. Okay, well that's cool. Like bars out of the way, cool. Alright, so now that that is set, no big deal. It comes with a mesh renderer, that's cool, cube mesh. Notice how it comes with this box collider. This box collider says, hey, I can pretty much take in physics. You're like, okay, cool. So what can actually collide with it? Anything that has a rigid body. And remember that in the last episode, when we created the prefab for the fireball has a rigid body to it. So the rigid body knows, hey, we're going to go into here, into the... I can collide with anything that has a box collider, but there's a trick. This is trigger has to be checked. So now it says, hey, I'm a trigger. So when something enters me, do things. And the things that we're going to have it do, as a matter of fact, is we're going to go ahead and create another script. And we're going to call it Damageable. Like that. I'm not sure why it keeps loading like that and wanting to load the assemblies. I'm not sure what that's about. It doesn't even bring it. See, will it be in the assets folder? Scripts? Damageable? Yeah. Alright, so what's going to happen here, as a matter of fact, it'll be a mono behavior. We're not going to use any of these. We're not going to need them. So this script is going to stay as a mono behavior, and anything in this game or anything in your that you want to make that can take damage, you'll give them a damageable script. They can take damage. So we'll come into here, we're going to create a private int health. Cool. And you know what? We're going to set it to 100. By default, anything that has this script will be set to 100. So what we'll do is we're going to set it private because we don't need anyone, if anyone uses a get component for the damageable, we don't want to have access to the health. So what we're going to do is, but we want this to be modified in the inspector. So you can add this to anything you want inside of your game. You come into here, you can set it in the inspector, but nowhere else in the code. And that's what we want. But anything that does this can take damage. So we're going to go in here and make a public function called take damage. And it's going to take in an int called damage. Here's the interesting part. So what this is going to do is it's going to do health minus equal damage. And then we're going to check to see if the health is less than or equal to 0. We're just going to simply destroy the game object that this script is attached to. So this dot game object. So whatever object this script is attached to is just going to destroy it. And then we can come down here if you want to debug. And then we can just, if you want to do some debug checking, we can just do this. Debug.log. This dot game object dot name plus concatenate that with this damage taken. Here, do this, and then we'll just do bam. It'll say what it was that got hit. It'll say this game object took this amount of damage. So we'll go into here, go back to Unity, go to the cube. Once it's done compile. Okay, and this thing can take damage. Bam, and it has 100 health. This isn't going to do anything because we're not calling take damage yet. We're not calling take damage. It's not going to take any damage. So how do we do that? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to create another script, and this one's called Projectile. Okay. So Projectile. Got it. Here goes loading that assembly again. So this script is going to reload. And bam, projectile. So we're going to double click it, come into projectile. Alright, so what is this going to do? A projectile is exactly that. It's going to be an object. It's going to be a script that's attached to any projectile you want inside of your game so it can actually do things. Like I know the fireball is a projectile. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out start and update. We're not going to use them. What we're going to use is private void on trigger inner, and it's going to have it's going to be collider other. So what does this mean? This object that's going to be that's going to have the projectile script attached to it, it's going to say on trigger inner. So hey, you have a rigid body attached to you as well. When you enter a trigger zone, remember how I had said that a cube can have physics act upon it because it has a box collider. This box collider here has its trigger set to true. So on the trigger inner of this thing from the rigid body that's on here, okay, what's going to happen is, what do you want it to do when it does that? Well, what we want it to do is we want to cache. We want to do damageable D is set to other.getComponent. So the object that we collided with, other, we want to get the component called damageable. Okay? So what this says is, go ahead, that thing that we just hit, I want you to grab to see if it has the get component. Now, this will become null if it does not have a damageable component assigned to it. So you want to check to see if D not equal to null, then go ahead and D dot take damage. And the damage is going to be a number, which right here in this projectile, we're going to go ahead and do public int damage factor. Okay, we're going to hide it in the inspector. I'll show you why in a moment. You can access this from the component aspect of it, but not from the inspector. I'm going to say why. And then come into here, they're going to take damage. Bam. So that thing's just going to take damage. And then after all that's done, we are going to destroy this game object. We're going to destroy the projectile that this object is on. So that means whenever the fireball has the project script on it, it's going to go ahead, it's going to go into the box collider of the cube, and it's going to say on trigger enter, grab the damage component. Is it null? It is. Okay, don't do anything, destroy yourself. Is it not null? It is. Okay, then take damage cube, and then now destroy yourself Fireball. That's essentially what this entire script is doing. So we'll go into Fireball. And we will go ahead and add a component. And it will be a projectile. Oh, a projectile script. Okay, and that's all it is. It's just it has a projectile component, which means it can be used as a projectile. That's what it means. Okay, make sure everything's set up. Got the cube. It's got 100 health. Got a box collider. It can be triggered. And we got the spawner where we're going to shoot from, and we're set up with Fireball. So in the console, this thing's set to 100. So if we're only doing in the Fireball, we have it set up. We need one more thing left. We're going to go into the Fireball script. Okay? And inside the Fireball script, so inside the Fireball script, what's going to happen is we need to get a reference to the projectile. So down here, right before we grab the rigid body component, we want to do clone skill prefab, which is your Fireball, dot get component projectile. We want to grab the projectile component, and then we want to go do dot damage is set to this Fireball's damage. So that means the projectile's damage component, like the projectile component, its damage is being set by the damage you set in here for the Fireball. So the only thing you have to do is just set however much damage the Fireball does, and the projectile will set it. And you'll be good to go with that. So now it has the damage that it's supposed to. Now we can save the scene. When we do this and shoot, we should see the Fireball explode when it touches the cube. And not okay. So let's see what we're doing here. That's all correct. Box collider doesn't make anything. That's that. Let's see what it is. It's causing the issue. It's a rigid body. Ah, got it. So the Fireball's collider has to be turned on for it to be able to collide as well. Because like if we set if we go into here, the Fireball, open the prefab up, and we set the box collider on, and we Control S and save it, it's gonna work now. Boom. Cube damage taken, 10. And we can verify that. Come over here, look at the cube. Look at its health. 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. And then boom. They're gone. Well, that's awesome. That's exactly what we wanted it to do. So, in this episode, we got the cube going, we got the damage script, we got the box collider, we got everything that we needed to have the Fireball working. What we're going to do inside of the next episode is we're going to go ahead and create a body slam skill. So essentially what's going to happen is whenever you press the button, the player is actually going to jump in the direction that the mouse is, and when it hits the object, it's going to stop and return back to where it was. So it's kind of like it runs up, hits them, and then comes back. It's just like a simple body slam technique. But I'm going to show you some of the different things you can do to where everything is actually going to be inside of the scriptable objects. Where did I put my inside the skills? You're just going to come in here. We're going to make a Fireball, a body slam skill, which is going to be a little different because it's not going to have a prefab instance like this. It's actually going to be just the player throwing himself around. So the next episode, we'll go ahead and get that running. I hope you all enjoyed this one so far. We got the collision detection going on. We got a taking damage. We got some health. Things are starting to be pretty fun. So, all right. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Appreciate it. Bye.